If you've been stuck at the same level in your English for a while, then this video is for you. I'll be talking about the 5 most important things that have helped me become a proficient user of English, and this is where it all starts. It's high time you started calling yourself an English speaker, an active user of the language, rather than just somebody who's just learning English. Welcome to my channel. My name is Csabi. Welcome to a channel dedicated to intermediate or above English learners who would like to learn how to make more vocabulary memorable through listening and speaking. I see this rookie mistake all the time when people come to me and they say, oh, I'm already advanced because I have a B2 or C1 certificate and I passed. Well, I hate to break it to you, but it's one thing to have all the necessary skills you need to pass an English exam for all kinds of purposes, but becoming fluent in English at an advanced level is a whole different ballgame. So let's just see the 5 things you should start focusing more on. And the first one is probably going to be a little bit surprising, but for me, it's variety. English isn't just British English and American English. In fact, these don't even exist, just terminology to confuse us. Every single person has their own way of speaking. There are dialects, accents, but not every British person, for example, would choose from exactly the same set of vocabulary when they communicate. Plus, there's also other variants. So you might bump into somebody from Australia, Indians, Filipinos, who have their own way of speaking, and they are highly likely native speakers of English. But English is also a global language. It's the global language. So you will see a variety of different speakers all around the world, right? And what's really kept me going and still keeps me going is the fact that I can have the opportunity to learn from all these global speakers of English. They can open up about their culture, about how they think about the world as well. And this helped me also make lifelong friendships back in London when I was living there for 6 years, and also made some local friends in a few of the countries that I visited, thanks to English being so global and me being able to communicate with them. So for me, there's no better motivator than the fact that I can just learn from all these kind of speakers of English. And these speakers might not have the perfect English all the time. They might not even be at an intermediate level. They might have an accent you need to understand, or they use words not in, the word order that you studied. And it's something you can prepare for. So my recommendation would be for you to look at, or at least have a listen to, different kinds of accents. Look out for different podcasts that don't only feature proper British speakers or general American speakers, but show you a variety of different accents and how people try to express themselves, because that's what's awaiting you in reality as well. So I would say always make sure you join at least 2 communities. Community learning is obviously one of my favorite ways of learning as an extrovert. So join a community where you could learn English together with people possibly around the same level, so you could learn a lot from them as well. But you should also join another community where you would be able to do things that you love doing together with other people. So think about things you like doing in your free time. Point number 2 is advanced learners constantly seek feedback on the way they use English. And there's all sorts of different forms of feedback. I told you I'm coming out with a video quite soon about feedback and how different kinds of feedback can help you and contribute to your improvement. There's also the feedback you could give to yourself. Whenever you record yourself, you write a journal entry, you could have a look and seek out all the mistakes you might have made, and this is eventually how mistakes are best corrected. But then again, the problematic part is that some mistakes are just not as obvious as others, and you might miss them when you check your work. So in order to know when you make a mistake, you need to know that that's a mistake. It's hard to tell if there is a mistake when you don't know if that's even a mistake, right? So for this, many people they talk to a speaking partner or a language partner who can obviously give you a lot of opportunities to communicate. It's a great way, and you should definitely find people to practice with, because feedback doesn't just have to be correction on every single mistake you make. It's all about feedback on whether what you're saying makes sense to other people as well. But then again, your language partner is likely to be an untrained, feedback giver, somebody who isn't so trained at giving you feedback. So what really helped me the best way in my teens and in my early 20s was to take a combination of private lessons and group classes where I was really put into situations where I could use my English, I could challenge myself using more complex structures and everything we'll be talking about today. But at the same time, I got an incredible amount of constructive feedback from my teachers. So again, feedback is often not about correcting mistakes all the time, but how you sound, right? So I've had several students in our fluency camp, there's a link below you could sign up, who used rude expressions to each other because they hadn't asked for feedback on their English before. You might sound too formal sometimes. With this, basically, you alienate someone who wants to be friends with you because of your formal usage of the language. There are so many peculiarities in the language that you will definitely need feedback on your current use of English if you ever want to get out of this intermediate plateau. If your language partner, your English teacher can either basically focus on one aspect of the language at a time, so give you feedback on pronunciation, formality, complexity, but they can also give you feedback, like a general overview of your use of English, right? It's important to remember that communication is not only about you getting your points across, but also thinking of how that is perceived in a particular situation. Language acquisition is all about gaining more and more control over what you say and what you say clearly. So if you use more complex structures, if you express yourself using a wider range of vocabulary, yet you still sound clear and clearly understood by the international community, you can consider yourself an advanced speaker. But this is something I see all the time. There are a lot of people who start using 2-3 idioms in a sentence, sounds extremely unnatural because it just doesn't suit the situation, the context, yet their sentences are off. Like, you need some time to actually make sense of what they are trying to say. And this is when I say that you should focus more on getting those structures right, trying to use the right kind of structure so people understand you, instead of using idioms that barely anybody uses. And when I say gaining more control, it's also making sure that you understand how to use different expressions according to different situations. Now, the thing about idioms is that some idioms are in, some idioms are out, they are no longer used, and there are also quite a lot of idioms that are associated with a specific generation or a particular group of people in a particular variety of English as well. So if you are not 100% sure how to use that specific idiom, I'd say don't use it. Using or not using idioms will not make a difference in whether you sound more advanced or not, if you ask me. There are obviously some idioms that people use on a daily basis, and I'd say definitely focus on them first. So focus on the ones that are more frequent, but again, working on the complexity of your expressions in a way that helps you express yourself better should be prioritized. Sounding more natural is obviously a big thing when it comes to speaking English with more confidence and more control. So I'd say try to focus on expressing yourself the most natural way you can so that people in the international community understand you. If people have a hard time figuring out what you're trying to say, then there might be a communication breakdown, which might have some consequences, sometimes some serious consequences, like missing out on a job opportunity, right? But at the same time, when we speak, those expressions might not come out the way we want them. So again, point number 2 I talked about before, feedback is incredibly important to sound natural. Many people simply don't sound natural in English because they just keep repeating phrases or structures that are sometimes really hard to figure out by the international community. And I don't like to see that those people make mistakes, because it's, again, as long as others understand your sentences, what you're trying to say, you can have sentences, that's fine. But if there's a breakdown in the communication, I'd definitely work on those phrases and structures. And this is why communicating as part of your learning is so incredibly important. You'd get an idea of how you sound, how easy it is for others to understand you. So go out there and embrace the power of speaking. And if you haven't yet, you can join our growing community in the Fluency Camp. It's a Facebook community, a Facebook group where you could practice sounding more fluent, you could learn more vocabulary, and also connect with some people from all over the world. I'll leave the link below. Doing an incredible amount of input is what really helped me in my teens get used to more advanced speakers, proficient speakers, native speakers using all these natural expressions that you might not find in textbooks and stuff, and eventually getting used to that, being able to pick up these expressions from the input I did back in my teens is what helped me get all that vocabulary and later on sound more natural. We also need to talk about commitment, which is point number 5, a true characteristic of an advanced speaker. When you are an advanced speaker of English, an advanced user of English, you know what you have gone through. You've invested your time, effort, money into becoming a better speaker, and you just simply know what it takes. You know that the secret to becoming more fluent and more advanced is in consistency, and it also lies in taking full responsibility for your actions, the actions you take to get closer to your goals in English. So realizing that English is basically a lifetime project that you need to focus on continuously improving, and it's not something you could just, put away in the drawer for 5 years and then just take it out whenever you need it. So here's how you could stay more committed. First of all, always leave the door open for more opportunities. So just because you haven't practiced learning English in that way, it doesn't mean it doesn't work. So try out different things, switch things up to keep yourself motivated, to stay motivated, and then you will see the results coming. Because again, learning a language is a long-ass journey, as I always say, and as an advanced speaker, you should know that it all lies in being consistent, not consistent in the way that you learn English, but consistent in learning English, and just realizing that just going through the motions is not enough. Like watching YouTube videos like this, listening to a podcast or reading a book will not directly contribute to you becoming a more confident, more advanced version of yourself. So that's an important thing to remember, to take classes, get the feedback, be part of communities, and try to always look out for opportunities, actively look out for opportunities to practice English and get feedback on it. Always have your big why as a beacon for your success in your English language journey, because it's, again, such a long journey, and you must have a why, like why you're learning English, and keep that in your mind all the time. Is it because you want to use English in your future job? Is it because you want to use English in your dream country, you want to move there, you want to start studying at your dream university? And ask yourself how you show up for that, right? How do you commit to becoming a more advanced, a more proficient user of English? Is it enough to just randomly speak to somebody and feel like it's practicing when you don't even see your improvements? Or you should really invest in yourself, invest in your future, and try to commit to a structured training with a professional who's trained at giving you feedback on the things you need to work on. I think it's all about how you show up for your English. And if you feel like you're not committed enough, then ask yourself what's missing, what's holding you back, what sort of thoughts you might be having that don't seem to make much sense for the outsider, and try to work on eliminating those beliefs and simply start adding these small little micro commitments that will help you gradually get used to learning and speaking English. I hope today's video helped you clear up a couple of things on what it means to become an advanced speaker. If you have any more ideas on the different components of becoming an advanced speaker of English, then leave it in a comment. Also, what do you think about the video? A couple of things that I shared. I'd really be interested in what you think and just turn it into a conversation as well. And if you haven't yet, make sure you sign up, you subscribe for this channel. I'll be coming up with videos on a weekly basis, helping you answering all the questions you have about language learning, especially when it comes to students are learning English at an intermediate or above level. So hit that like button if you feel like there's something that you liked in this video, and share it with somebody who you feel like could benefit from watching this piece as well. Thank you so much for watching this. Have an amazing day, hopefully filled with loads of immersion in English.